Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Polyglots talk. Hi.
Have a
Hello.
good time.
Hi.
Hello.
We're gonna address immediately the fact that Ray is not, in fact, completely still the entire time. It's a picture because, yeah, you can
Oh
hear.
my god.
Yes, you can hear Ray talking, but no video because right now the connection doesn't allow that. So yes, that's what's happening today. But let me say hello first to the wonderful people in chat already, and we have Led Axolotl welcome in, and Raya. I think I said your name correctly, but please let me know. Hello, welcome in. And also Aurora. Oh my god. Brooke, it's been 84 years. Hello. How have you
Yes.
been? Hello. Yes.
Famous lady. I
Yes.
wonder if she went to America or not. I have not received updates since the last time I received updates from Brooke, she washed her passport in a laundry machine.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Wonderful. Good to know. I hope your passport is okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my. Also, hi
Great.
Maku. Welcome
Hola,
in. Hi. Emanuel lady. X to down. But also, yes.
Welcome, Maku. Hola.
Hola. Hello. I've been through hell and have not yet returned. Oh my goodness, Aurora. You scare me. Hope you're okay, Vivi. I haven't seen Aurora-chan in a long time. So, yeah, let us know how you're doing. What's up recently? Anything's fine. There's no like, there's no indications on anything. You just say whatever you feel like. This safe space chat, for you to tell us how you're doing. Also, yeah, Brooke says I got a new passport, but it happened right before I was going to the US. No. Oh my goodness.
That's tense.
It's tense. It's super tense, man. Oh my god. Hopefully things go. It's like when you touch the bottom and then you can only go up, right? Aurora. So yes. My passport ends next month, says Maku. No more collecting Japanese stamps to that is also very like annoying for me as well. My passport expires next year as well. So I'm a little bit sad. All my Japanese travels are gonna be disappear.
Oh
my new one. Yes. Oh my. Okay.
I was literally a week and a half before.
My. That is like annoying. I'm sorry.
What comes to mind immediately is like, you know, the meme with that dog at the table and like the fire burning her. It's like everything's fine. I'm fine.
Everything's fine, yo. My goodness. Poor Aurora-chan. Are things a little bit better now, or like?
We're sending love.
Yes, a big hug. Also,
yes.
Maybe we should introduce ourselves as well for the people who don't know us. Do you want to start, Ray? Who are you?
Ooh, okay. I struggle with this. I feel like no matter how long I do content, I still don't know how to respond to this question.
Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ray. I am a polyglot and learner of life. I specialize in helping people speak more fluently, get over that hurdle between writing and learning stuff in books and getting it out there in the world, feeling more natural. And also, I love the intersection of language and culture. where you can really see language, human behavior all get mixed up and bundled. Yeah, I enjoy being in the field, if you know what I mean. And I speak 7 languages roughly: English, Jamaican, Swedish, Korean, Japanese, Mandarin, and Spanish-ish a little bit. And I dabble in a lot of other things, as we all do. And yeah, that's me. I'm currently living in Suzhou, China, which is very new for me, and I'm still very timid, and everything is a little bit scary, but also so amazing and new and fun. Yeah. That's me. Nice to meet you.
If you have more questions, please write in the chat for Ray, our wonderful person and founder of Gladly Global as well, because yes,
yes,
we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ray Chan. Yes,
absolutely.
I love the community. I love the vibes.
Yes. Yes, thank you for being here today, even if your VPN is being crazy recently. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go next. I am also one of the first people of Gladly Global that works for it. I've been working for Gladly Global a long time now. I don't want to say how many years, but I am currently mostly a community manager, so if you want to come over and check out our Discord server, all the links are down below, and I am always there, so if you have questions directly, most of the time I'm there unless I'm sleeping. so feel free to come over and participate in the community and give suggestions to how to make the community better. Yes, I am from Italy, by the way. There's a flag, so yeah. And I speak Italian, Venetian, and English and Japanese, and I double in other languages. At the moment, I'm doing a master's degree in Japanese language, so that's my focus. Somebody would say hyper focus at the moment because it's just Japanese all the time. But it's very interesting. So if you have questions about Japan, feel free. I also lived there, so yeah. And yeah, that's it. I also teach Italian and English, so I'm into language teaching and coaching a little bit as well. And our guest, but not really, our partner our partner is a very fixed appointment with us on Polyglots Talk is bront'e here. Who are you? Let us know.
So yes, my name is bront'e, also known on the interwebs as the Polyglot Fox. I am a nerd. I am an introvert. I mean, we're all here as lovers of languages, so I think that's, normal here. But what can I say? I'm a language coach, so I help language learners who are trying to go from frustrated to fluent. I tend to work with people who are not just trying to speak, but are trying to read and write, because a lot of the introverts are I just want to watch my favorite TV shows. I just want to read books and maybe talk to people. And I'm valid. Okay. And so my personal list of languages right now, I had to count while Ray was talking because I never remember the number. The current list in various stages of fluency is 11 because I just started 2 more, German and Italian. So I guess 12, including my native language of English. So English, Spanish, French, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin Chinese, Russian, American Sign Language, Black American Sign Language, Tutnese, and then the Italian German are the new ones. And I would say I'm comfortable with about 5 or 6 of them, depending on the context. What else can I say? I love video games. Yeah, I love playing video games in other languages. And I love reading in other languages. Those are my 2 things. So yeah, if you have questions,
send hearts in the chat if you love video games as well. I'm gonna send. Yes. Did you know you can learn languages with video games? But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about actually music, because it's Music May. It's coincidentally the same month of Eurovision, by the way, which is next week. For all the American people here who don't know what Eurovision is, you're missing out. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
But yes.
What a coincidence. That is crazy.
Yeah. So,
That is
right.
timing.
So
That's perfect.
yeah, next week there's Eurovision, but
Perfect
that's
intersection of languages and music.
yeah, probably Eurovision saw that it was Music May for Gladly Global, and they were like, you know what, we're gonna put Eurovision the week after. Yes, it's also
I
May the
think that's what
1st.
it is.
It's also May the 4th today, so
May the 4th be
happy,
with you.
yeah,
Yes,
happy
may the
Star
4th
Wars.
be with you.
It's true.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, no, that's great. A lot of celebrations, and if you are not in our community, Music May basically means that we share the collaborator links for our Spotify playlists. They are shared right now in our Discord server. In the news channel, you can find them right now if you're not a collaborator yet. What does it mean? We have playlists where the entire community can add music in specific languages. So we have one playlist for every language that was requested, so you can request new playlists for next time. The biggest ones at the moment are Italian and Japanese and Korean, I think. Those are the biggest ones, and are this like a way to involve the community as well and to discover new music together. So if you're not already, just join our Discords and become a collaborator. The links last for 24 hours, so it's kind of now or never. But next time we're gonna share the links in November, so it's gonna be a long time from now. Yes, so we're talking about music today. I don't know, does anybody...
Excited.
Yes, we have a question for you. First of all, do you use music in your language learning somehow, and how? This is our
Yes.
question. Yes, Bront'e, I feel like you want to start the conversation. So,
Yeah, I'm very excited
Do
because
it.
I do.
Mhm.
Mostly passively, so like I'll listen to music in the background. Like I just have like playlists. I have a mixed playlist with all languages, and then I have playlists by language. And so if I'm like working or doing something, I'll have the music on in the background, just for vibes. But what I love to do is like find the lyrics, especially because nowadays it's very easy to find lyrics from most songs, whereas when I was growing up like in middle school, you had to like figure out what they were saying and just do it yourself because the websites were not accurate. But I love to pull those lyrics and then like pick out the words that I don't know and then like sing along with it so I can say practice like saying the actual lines or singing the actual lines. So yeah, I love using music because it's a really simple way to add more fun, to like
Yep. Mhm.
spice up your studies.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly how I learned English, by the way. I was searching for music on MTV and learning the lyrics. That's how I still remember some of the words that I learned like that are, for example, lipstick. This kind of like weird words that you would not learn. At that point, sorry, I'm old, so there were no like YouTube tutorials or anything for makeup at the time. So I learned all my vocabulary from music. Well, I literally looking at MTV, writing down the title of the song in those like 5 seconds where it comes out.
Yes.
And that was how I was searching for the song. It was kind of crazy. So
and
yeah,
put a certified stamp on it. Like this is a certified strategy. It works. and
yes,
it's done.
it works.
But no, it does.
Now it's so much easier, to be honest, because there's so many more things you can do right online. But at the time, it was kind of like, I guess I loved music, and that was like a great motivation to learn new words, to also sing along, as you were saying, right? So it's definitely a powerful tool. Yes, yes.
100%. I was thinking about how I recently did like a mini vlog for my trip to Seoul, and my friend commented under was like, "Oh, you never do one of these without a clip of karaoke," and I was like, "That's 100% true." And one of the things, my greatest joys, is going to karaoke and immersing myself either in the language of that country or making sure I learn at least one tune to like, you know. I also really like to learn the kind of song that would make an old person proud, because I don't really care about like the youth when it comes to these kind of things. It should be something very corny, something very crucial to the culture, something that hits the spot. Maybe you drink a beer while you listen to it. Are you getting the imagery? Yes. And and this kind of song is also really good usually to learn like the heart of the language, which is what I wanted to bring to the table today. That's one of the reasons why I really like using music to study, is that you can sort of grab what's important culturally, as well as you have a starting point to really like connect with a deeper aspect of that culture. Like when you learn a culturally relevant song, people immediately feel warmer to you. They're like, oh yes, this person gets us. Oh yes, this person has an in with me. You become a little bit less foreign. It's a skip instead of, you know, we've talked about other things as well, like working on your pronunciation, or, you know, when you're really fluent, obviously people will slowly get used to wanting to talk to you or something like that, but that takes a long time. Learning one song that helps break the ice is a lot easier. So what do you guys think about that? Have you ever used music to break the ice?
Not on purpose. But I think as you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I have done that. Huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly,
there
are a bunch of meme songs in Japan, and more than once I kind of used that knowledge to talk with native speakers, and they were like, oh, that's so cool, you know, that thing, that meme reference.
Yeah, like, oh, this person knows their shit. You know, this person like, is honorary Japanese. Yes. They just sang this song.
No, but and now I feel like I'm not up to date anymore, because the only memes I know are from many years ago. So it's it doesn't work anymore. But it's a good thing to kind of, because we were talking many times about how when you learn a new language, you kind of unlock a new part of the internet, right? And so to a degree, the memes or like the songs, the music, anything that comes from a different part of the internet, like that, is filtered if you only speak your language and not that language. So being able to enter in that word, and also like reading the comments, maybe, you know, getting into what people are into and like what people are saying about something, it's really helpful to immerse yourself and also get in touch to what those people like, maybe, you know. I would say I do that a lot for my students when they're learning Italian, because there is no song, in my opinion, that doesn't show a little bit of the culture somehow, you know. Especially if it's not pop music, in my opinion.
Right.
So it's definitely powerful for that culture aspect you were mentioning. Yeah.
Yes. I know, like, especially if there's a lot of smaller languages that don't have as much material. So when people ask me to learn Jamaican, for example, I obviously don't have a lot of great places to point them to. There are some like good IG accounts and things, like people who are passionate about it, that are surfacing, but largely, like, if you really want to get the vibe of it, I'm like going to music you know, copy off a bunch of lyrics and try to compare it and see if you can pick up something, ask questions to native speakers, go on high native or something. So like, let's say you're learning something else, which bront'e can definitely come in and pitch in, because I don't think I've spoken a language that is that small, but I imagine that music is always a gateway. Recently, we met, my partner and I met a girl from a small minority culture in China. And so she speaks a minority language, and it uses a completely different script too, which I didn't even know that they did that. The script looked really crazy. It looked very hieroglyphic, like it looked like hieroglyphics. It was very interesting. But yeah, so and of course, the first thing she did to show us what it sounded like was pull up a few songs.
See?
um, yeah. So I'll give bront'e the floor to talk about the minority language aspect.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree that like finding music is really helpful for that. I mean, unfortunately, like Tutnese is one of those languages where, I mean, I haven't found any songs, but what I have found is there are a couple people on TikTok who are like practicing and speaking. And so and I'm sure that like at some point people are going to just start making their own DIY music and then it'll go somewhere. But I think one of the things that I have found really powerful in being able to see the culture of the language is how they use like metaphors, how a culture and a language uses metaphors in a song. So like if they're talking about love, if they're talking about friendship, and they compare it to something that is not something my brain usually connects it to, that's an insight into the culture. That's showing you how the people of this country, the people who speak this language, see that. And I think that is something that you don't really get unless you're in conversation and it just so happens to come up, you know. But yeah, I just love listening to music all the time. I think there's not a if my room is silent, I'm like stressed. There's something going on because there's music for
100%.
different vibes. You know, there's the calm and relaxing songs. There's the I need some energy music. You know,
100.
so
Yeah.
absolutely.
100.
It's interesting to me because I usually, whenever I'm in my house, it's mostly like lyricless music, so just instrumental, because it helps me think without concentrating on the words or like whatever the vibe. It's just like a background. But if I'm walking, I need to have something more complex or like with something to concentrate to. And in those cases, I definitely like I need to have something that in a way stimulates my mind to like ask myself questions or like trying to understand a little bit what is being said. But I'm also a very like meticulous researcher, so if there is something I want to know, you were talking about metaphors earlier. If there is something I'm like, wow, I would have never said it like that. I would maybe I research, might it be Genius, which is or like other websites or like blogs where people can like speak about songs or like the meanings or whatever. And a lot of it, like you can tell there are like songs that are make references about current, you know, events. For example, this year in the Italian Festival of Music, so many songs were about the wars that are going on, for example, in the Middle East, and but in a hidden way, because it cannot be spoken on TV.
Yeah.
So it was like metaphorical, and it was interesting to like find those hidden references. And also a lot of the time these metaphors, these references are about something that is, you know, historical in a way, because all music comes from old or ancient ways of poetry, or, you know, in a way like using the language in a very a creative way in a sense. And a lot of Japanese music, for example, uses a lot of those like ancient metrics and even vocabulary, which is so interesting to notice, because it's like the language is still like old when we use it for art like music, right? It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why there is I'll say like a group online that says don't use music, or like don't use TV shows to learn, because like some word choice or some ways of saying things is maybe not exclusively to music, but is more popular in music than it is in conversation. But it's still like important to know. Also, it's just fun, and I think if we're not having fun learning languages, it's going to be less likely we do it. So I think there is an importance to doing it anyway, if that's something you enjoy or you want to try out. You know?
Yes.
Let's talk about this, right? Why do you think that some people say don't study with music, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I was just about to say that I think that the specific words are not coming to me right now, but there's extensively, and what's the opposite of extensively? Like,
intensive.
Yes. So you can process resources and information in two ways. You can do it with a broad stroke, or you can do it very meticulously. And each type of thing that we study from, we need to decide from the beginning how we are going to approach it, so that we don't end up frustrated at the end. So if you're working with music or something like that, then probably you should be going with the broad stroke, with the big picture studying, instead of meticulously trying to understand every sentence and word, because likely you won't. I mean, there are lots of English songs as well that people take a lot of liberties in the way that they express themselves, and that people would never like truly say that out loud, or like it's just something funny for the vibe, or you know, or something that is poetic specifically for music. So if you're trying to like fully derive your sentences and your attitude and everything from that, then you're gonna be led astray. So instead, what you do is you try to understand the vibes and the energy of what people are saying, and you try to understand, like how bront'e and Anna both mentioned, like when you see something being related to another thing, like it's giving you an insight into the mind and the heart of those people. And you're learning, maybe you learn interesting words. So the idea, maybe you learn 5 words from a song that's gonna have like 100 words that you have no idea, you know, like there's 100 words that make up this song, but perhaps you only decide to walk away with 2 as ones that you really want to remember and carry forward. So I think that it's a little bit sad if you avoid music. I mean, we've been talking about culture a lot until now, but it's a bit sad if you avoid music, because you can get a bit confused, and instead you should just go in with the idea that you know, you go in already with the expectation that you're not gonna understand everything. I sometimes, I mean, I get frustrated sometimes too. Like there is this song that seems very simple, and they repeat the same like 5 lyrics 100 times in the song. It's really cute, but it's romantic, like a duet. And I asked my partner, I was like, okay, so what does this thing mean? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? And he's like, I don't know, it doesn't really make that much sense. It's just, you know, it's just pretty. And I was like, I am gonna punch you in the face, because you must understand what this means. It's a basic essence, like you must have an idea. And he's like, I don't even try to understand. And I'm like, you know, okay, you see, this is the native, because I'm not a native speaker, and this also happens when you try to speak, you know, sometimes it's like, as second language learners, when we hear something, we are hell-bent in understanding everything in there. And if we
Mm.
hear a gap, really insecure, we're like, oh my god, I don't understand this. But as a native speaker, you hear something you don't understand, it falls right over your head. You care so little about it. You're like, okay, yeah, whatever, that was weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the moral of that spiel was care a little less and focus a bit more on the heart and the center of the metaphor, the beauty of the overall expression, and see if you can start to understand this language that you're learning from a more soft skills perspective more than a hard skills perspective. Yeah, drops my quotes away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I like that you brought up like understanding and how it is when it's your, you know, second, third-ish language versus your native one, because I know we've talked about like being harder on ourselves when it's a language we're learning versus one that we're not. And I think about my experiences with like English songs as a native English speaker, and I always mess up the lyrics. Like when I'm listening, I'm like, I don't know what that word is, and I just insert a word that makes ish the most sense. I'm like, oh, that could work. There's a video that I just saw going around recently, and I think the song is called Gold, but the whole chorus, no one really, not no one, most people don't know what they're saying. Like people are just making sounds, and then actually, see, now I have to find the video because it essentially is like native English speakers listen to the song and have no clue what's going on, and it's just vibes.
Yeah.
And I feel like a non-native English speaker is going to listen to the song and could potentially feel very frustrated about not knowing what the chorus is, and we're like, I don't know either, but
It's
it
like
sounds good.
listening. It's like a non-native speaker coming to you and being like, "So what the hell is a Cotton Eye Joe?" And you're like,
I don't know. But really though,
never
To
thought
be
of it
honest,
in my life.
like for real, what the heck is that? Because I never thought this happens with me. There are like songs that I listened to when I didn't know English, and now that I know English, I listen to and I'm like, what? Like what? Why is this famous? What is this saying? And it's just the vibes, right? The reason why it comes out as you know, something that it's nice to listen to. And to a degree also, like this is interesting to me, the use of the language as sounds, like it was an instrument almost sometimes, right? So using the sound in a creative way like that, it's very, it's because Cotton Eye Joe, but it sounds cool, I guess, you know. So that's also like one way to look at it as well.
By the way, there is a meaning for Cotton Eye Joe. It's a southern thing, but like
yeah.
I didn't know what it meant my entire life, and I still barely know what it means now. Like I do know, but it's only because like I saw somebody on the internet break it down and be like, this is what this song is actually about. And then I'm like, oh shit, I've been listening to this my whole life. I've never questioned it. It's actually a weird song, to be honest. There is also like I think of the same thing in the sense of like you know, when like a song is about something but it's a metaphor for something else, like say it's like a sexual innuendo or something like that, and you listen to the song and you sing like nonsense lyrics and you have no idea, like you don't think about the metaphor at all as a native speaker. But it's the non-native speaker that comes over and is like, but why would they say this? And then you're like, oh, you know why they might have said that, but you never even attempted to think about it before that person brought it up. I actually do this a lot with Jamaican because personally, I mean, of course I'm from Jamaica and I'm native, but at the same time it's my second language and not my first household language. And so I did in fact use songs a lot to like, I actively use songs to keep up with the developments of patois, because Jamaican patois changes very fast, and the new kids, you know, them saying a lot of cool things, and I want to stay hip on things, you understand? So so when I listen to these songs and I hear this stuff, and I spend a lot of time listening to the older ones, the ones that are like cult favorites for everyone. And I'm like, yo, do you guys realize what these people are singing about? And my parents are like, no clue. I'm like, you had me dancing and winding up myself to this song my whole childhood. Do you know what this song is about? Have you listened to this song?
Mhm.
The answer is no, they have not listened to that
Yeah,
song.
I get it. I feel like because most of the time, maybe, yeah, we are talking about the musicality of the sounds in a way, but also
Yeah.
it's more about, like, I feel like the words that are being used are more evocative, so one doesn't really like concentrate on the entire sentences that the person is saying, but more like one word here and there in a way, and like,
Right, exactly.
yeah, I feel that for my own native language at least, because like I will never try to understand when I'm listening. I would just think about the words that are being said, and to a degree kind of find my own meaning as well sometimes. Like this happens, and I feel a lot of music in Italy right now, it's indie, and they use like crazy words that like they use this I don't know how to call it in English, but it's like putting together words that would never be together normally in a normal conversation, which is not meant to mean anything other than being like unexpected in a way. So there's also this kind of techniques to basically make you feel something, but you know, there's no like there is not like one
Yes.
meaning to it in a way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have to say, because this kind of aligns with my expertise in language as well. Because once again, people might be listening to this and then go, okay, so how the hell am I supposed to study from a song if like native speakers have no idea what's going on?
Yes.
You know, like how is this useful at all? Again, okay, so it sounds misleadingly unused, like not unhelpful, but for example, just hearing Anna talk about that, like using these words for shock value, for entertainment value, for the interest. Japan does this a lot too with English words. Like they will just put random English words in a slew that have nothing to do with anything, but they just literally get Japanese people excited. They're like, oh, pencil sharpener! Like they get real excited, you know?
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is like understanding what gets people excited, what is the nonsensical understanding and flow of a language. So this is a completely opposite example. I'm using Jamaican a lot in this video, but I think it's because of the fact that like Jamaican is so less documented and so much all about the vibes,
Yes.
little about the academia, so it just keeps coming up in my mind. But an example is when I was in middle school or high school or something like that, I told an American friend that we randomly name household items to curse. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because in Jamaica we have a few curses that's literally like sounds very random to me. For example, like our equivalent of shit is like box cover, so the cover of a box. Our equivalent of like what the hell is blouse and skirt, so a blouse and a skirt. So we have very random ways of expleting. And so anyway, I said that to her, and at the time I really thought it was truly random. And I think most Jamaicans in their mind, Jamaicanisms are very, very random. Like we very much think that we're just saying whatever the hell comes to our mind, but it's not. There's a pattern, there's a flow, there's definitely aspects. It's nonsensical, but it's so sensical at the same time. And so one day this friend came to me and she was just like, table side, and I was like, what? I was so confused. I had no idea. I was flabbergasted. And she's like, didn't you tell me I could just say a random item? And I was like, oh my god, yes, but not those.
But not like that. Not
Yeah.
like that.
But not those. And I continue to witness this. Like, again, my Jamaican elders feel like Jamaican is so random, but it isn't. And so when you listen to music, going back to the original topic after this very far this anecdote, when you listen to music, when you listen to these random things, like, this is exactly the way that you can build the soft skills to process and understand these natural programmings that native speakers have, these natural flows and ways that they come up with ideas, that they joke with each other, that they meme with each other, that cannot be learned otherwise. You cannot study that in a book. You cannot study that in an article. This is extremely valuable information, and that's why you shouldn't skip over songs. Like, I have lots of friends who speak fluent English. Their English is great. They have all the knowledge, but they feel very awkward in an English speaker space, or in a European space necessarily as well. Like, Europeans who all speak English as a second language, they speak it very comfortably because they kind of share the English speaking culture, if that makes sense to some degree. European culture is similar enough to exchange on that level. But if like an Asian comes in and they speak English and they're trying to keep up with everybody, they struggle a lot. They're like, what? Why was that funny? Why are we talking about this? What do you mean? And that flow, again, this inside meme culture, I cannot explain it. You need to study music to catch it. Yes.
I feel, yeah, like about that, it's interesting what you said, like there might be a pattern or like a way, like why does it work, right? Why do I say, there's a song in Italian that I like very much that talks about starfish and compares starfish to a child's hands, for example. And why does it work? Why would anybody think of something like that and be like, oh my god, that's such a cool image or something like that? And there's like to a degree also kind of like I feel that people want to like are scared to learn by songs because they want to be perceived as normal and like to speak like everybody does in a way. So like using these kind of expressions, metaphors, or like creative just appositions or anything that comes to mind, like randomness or like with a pattern, you know, like these kind of things are scary. And but to a degree, the way that we use language should be because we are expressing ourselves. And I feel like music could help you find new ways that are not like the textbook or like another, like copying what another person says, but your own way, your own images, your own metaphors, anything that like speaks from you. Like it gives you some more tools to be able to do that. So I think that's also why it's very important.
Yeah, and speaking of patterns, because as you both were talking, I was immediately thinking about like one of the other things that I notice about songs and song lyrics is how it can, not always, but it can mirror the experience we get when reading children's books, and the pattern is familiar. The pattern of how things are talked about in certain genres of songs or certain songs by a specific artist, there's a pattern to how they do it, and you come to learn how people communicate, share their ideas. You learn about the culture because of those patterns that you notice, whether you are like learning it actively and you're like studying it, or you're just passively, you know, consuming this and then noticing it afterwards and going, oh, here it comes again. Like here it's happening. And so I think there's some value to that, just in being able to find those patterns in how to talk about certain topics. How does a culture or the people who speak this language, how do they communicate this topic versus this topic? What
Mhm.
are the things that, like, yes, this phrase means XYZ, but we would never use it in this context. It's only used in that context. And I feel like songs are a great way to learn. Like, what context can you use certain words in? I think
And
about
also,
like,
sorry, also how to
no, yeah.
expand that boundary sometimes. So.
Yes, absolutely. Like what you were saying about like putting two words together that are normally not found together in
Mhm.
Italian. And I think in English, at least like the people that I talk to in the communities that I'm in, like we make up words all the time by combining words. You know, if you think of words like brunch, where it's breakfast and lunch,
Mhm.
it's like those all the time. We I have friends who we talk about dinner. We have so the lunch and dinner time.
Yeah,
Uh,
don't.
yeah, exactly. So like being able to combine words, and you get to
Mhm.
learn how people make words and still are understood. So
Mhm.
if you are trying to figure out how to say something and you don't know and you make up a word, if you're following those patterns and those rules of the language, people
Mhm.
are going to be like, "Oh yeah, I get what you mean."
Yeah.
And like conversation still flows.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not easy. So, like, if you, it's not something that it's easy to learn because even like native speakers struggle with it because we are not taught to be creative with the language in a way. We're taught that grammar is that, and like a sentence must be like this, and that, and every sentence has to be has a verb, and every sentence must have a start and a finish. But actually,
Mm-hmm.
that's not how real conversation work in my experience. So
Nope.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean, like, honestly, most of my sentence makes so little sense. Like, I think you can even tell from this podcast already that, like, I take huge liberties with my native language. I make up words and break them and put them together and say add a ly at the end of like
Yes.
anything. Figure that. Like the
Isms,
it's
it sticks.
it's very fluid. So of course there is the rigid side. So again, there is the structured side, there is the left brain side, and there's always the right brain side. So you have to balance what you're learning. And but I do believe that the people who spend a lot of time trying to learn in spaces that make them feel a bit uncomfortable, because essentially this is what we're talking about. We're like, yes, it's the unknown and you'll be waddling around in a lot of like confusion, but you'll pick up some, like, it'll rub off on you. It's not a direct like you walk away like I learned X, Y, and Z. It's
Yes.
something that rubs off on you over time, and you just feel more comfortable in the space. And there's a lot of things in languages that are like that, that's not measurable. And our community feels very frustrated with things that cannot be measured sometimes.
Yes.
um and so I do believe that people who lean into that tend to become better language learners. And when I mean, I use the word better very loosely, but I just mean that they end up feeling more fulfilled and confident in what they study. They don't rip themselves apart, which allows them to continue. So I recommend to everyone to really like approach things from the soft skills perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say the same. Like we recommend listening to music, but listening to it from the perspective of I'm not trying to study it, I'm trying to enjoy it.
Mhm.
And the
Yes.
learning is going to happen as you're enjoying the songs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. 100%. And like, I guess it's a it's an aspect that allows you to let go sometimes, like let go of
Mm.
um
Perfection.
let
Boundaries.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes learning doesn't look like what you think it looks like, and maybe you know more than you think you know,
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
maybe you can communicate with much less than you think. And yeah, like once you make space for the soft skills, once you make space for the intangible things, that's when you realize that communication can happen at so many levels. And I love promoting that. It's maybe my favorite thing to promote.
Hell yes. So we still have some minutes to go because I need to work in 10 minutes. So I would like to ask the people in chat if you've anything, like any comments you have. I know this is mostly like a listening podcast, so you listen to what we say, but we want to include what you want to add to the conversation as well. So yes, any comment? Do you use music to study? What is your experience? Maybe you hate it. I don't know. That's not.
We're also planning to start uploading this as an audio podcast. So if you're listening after this recording and you're at home, either on YouTube watching the playback or wherever else, please do leave us a comment. We'd love to read and talk with you and share. Do you use music? How do you use it? Have you felt it has added to your experience? Does it make you want to tear your hair out? Open to all thoughts.
Yes, and if you are planning to start using music, but you're not sure of like where to begin, come to the Gladly Global community so we can help you out. Like literally, there are so many people there that are doing this that we can all share ideas. And the playlist is here right now, so you just have a list of songs to start with. So you're not starting from scratch.
We have playlists. We have songs outdoors. What's pick your poison.
Yes. Yep. Wonderful. Alrighty. Yes. As always, I'm gonna just say it another time, but we have Spotify playlists made by our community, so the links are available right now for 24 hours on our Discord server. We're gonna share them twice a year, so if not this time, next time. And please share your music, your favorite music in language, and collaborate to create the playlists for language learners like you and us. I sound like an advertisement here.
Yeah. And thank you for watching.
Also, thank you, Maku, for the 10. I think it's Lottie or something. I don't remember the name of the currency. Thank you very much. GG. Thank you.
Dziękuję.
Yes. Dziękuję, yes. Jazz says, I use music to study passively. I never really look up lyrics to study, only if I want to sing along. Fair. I feel like it helps me to get into the culture and get motivation for studying the language. Motivation is a big one, I think. Yeah, it's a good point. Also, hi, Joanna, and thank you for rewatching the stream later. Appreciate you. Manka says, I'm bad with focusing on words in music. Usually that's background, but sometimes I understand what's going on in Japanese, mostly background. But it's okay. Like, understanding one word here and there is amazing to me. Like, when I'm listening to Japanese, I'm like, oh yeah, well, I understood that. Let's go. And still to this day, I'm like very surprised all the time. It's nice.
Yes. Now picking up. I mean, Anna mentioned earlier for native speakers as well that listening to music is a lot of like hearing certain words and attaching the random words that pop out to you to the vibe of the song, right? So it's like, I heard the word love and it's an exciting song. Okay, I'm gonna assume that this is an exciting love song. Yeah. So if you're learning that way with foreign languages, I think you're winning. I think you're doing it right.
Yes, Maku, same, by the way. I know some parts of the chorus because they are like the chorus, so you repeat it many times. So those parts I remember what they mean, but everything else is just like, I don't really think about it, and that's normal. As always, we promote vibes of not being harsh with ourselves in our learning journey. We don't need to be perfect all the time. We don't need to understand 100%. Actually, I think if you understand 60 to 80%, you're already like a native speaker probably. So no worries at all.
That was
You
me
can smile.
watching Natalia and learning the lyrics.
Yeah.
𝕙𝕐𝕣𝕣𝕣𝕣. It's like trying to circle around the world. I was like, yes, I succeeded. I know that one
Once
line.
again,
Yes,
I only
one word.
learn songs to impress old people. That's my goal.
Yes.
So if you need a goal,
And
use
those,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
usually use words
Or
that
my-
are too complicated for me to learn, so I just learn kind of like the pronunciation, and that's it. Yes,
Yeah.
that's great though. Yes.
Pronunciation's good too.
Mhm.
That's for a whole nother conversation, because I could say that, like, you know, I did meant to mention it, but I forgot to mention it. But like, you know, since there are different areas of the language, you could like just focus on one very specific aspect, like
Mhm.
pronunciation.
Yes.
Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can talk about pronunciation next time that we have a music
Ooh,
related.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
life's true. Write that down. Write
Let's
that down.
do it.
Yes.
Okay.
All
Should
right.
I sign us up?
Yes, it was nice spending time with everybody today. The stream is getting to an end, so I don't know. Do we need to do some? So yeah, as always, like join the Discord server, because that's where the magic happens, as they say.
Yes.
And also, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and the other socials. But these are the most used ones: Discord, Instagram, and YouTube. So thank you very much for showing up today and speaking with us. It was nice. And thank you again
Absolutely.
to bront'e, wonderful person.
Oh, I gotta lean this way.
Yes. Yes. And also Ray, thank you for showing up with the and fighting with the VPN.
I just have to say, I just have to say that Bronte's background is backgrounding. I see the effort being put in. There was a time when Bronte did not want us to see the background, but I'm loving it. Her mic matches the damn curtain. That's too cute. Anyway, yes. Thank you for being
I
here.
love it
I'm
too.
always happy to be here. Thank you for the introduction. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I love that curtain. I want one too. Thank you. Tell me where you got it. Yes.
I'm gonna text you.
And thanks. All right, guys. So we hope everybody has a wonderful day ahead, whatever time zone you're in. Maybe it's night. Maybe you have a wonderful sleep. Maybe it's Saturday night and you go out to dinner, or you have the whole day ahead and then you can do so many things. Thank you for showing up again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.